Dear students, you are welcome back to STR Shivarajan's teaching room. If anyone of the viewers has not yet subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe and press the bell button for regular updates. Now, welcome to the class. In the last episode, we were discussing about pregnancy and implantation. At the point of implantation, we had stopped the previous episode. What is implantation? Implantation is the fixation of the blastocyst into the endometrium of the uterus. That is implantation. So, the pregnancy, parturition and lactation are later stages of implantation. So, implantation leads to pregnancy. We had discussed that also. Implantation leads to pregnancy. And after implantation, what happens? After implantation, see, this is the blastocyst, this is the endometrium, and the blastocyst develops finger-like projections. The blastocyst develops finger-like projections like this, and these are called the chorionic villi. After implantation, the blastocyst develops finger-like projections called chorionic villi. The chorionic villi gets integrated. The chorionic villi, this is the chorionic villi, which get integrated into the tissues of the endometrium and gets fixed. And this integrated structure of chorionic villi and the endometrium tissue develops into placenta. So what is placenta? Placenta is the structure that develops from the integration of or joining of the chorionic villi and the tissue of the endometrium. So after implantation, the placenta develops. And what is placenta? Placenta is the physical connection between the maternal body and the fetus. Maternal body means body of the mother. Maternal means mother. So placenta is the physical connection between the maternal body and the fetus, and the placenta, and we will see what are the functions of the placenta. The placenta gives nourishment to the fetus. Nourishment to the fetus. Then it gives oxygen supply. Gives oxygen supply to the fetus. It helps to remove carbon dioxide and other waste from the fetal body. So the placenta plays a very important role. The placenta gives nourishment to the fetus. It gives oxygen supply to the fetus and helps to remove carbon dioxide and the other metabolic waste materials from the fetal body. So these are the functions. And what is umbilical cord? See, there is a tubular structure. This is the fetus and this is the placenta, and this is a tubular structure connecting the placenta and the fetus. It is the umbilical cord. So the placenta connects the fetal body or the fetus with the placenta. Then after the development of the placenta functions as an endocrine gland. Endocrine gland. The placenta functions as an endocrine gland. It produces HCG. HCG. What is HCG? Human chorionic gonadotropin. It produces HPL, human placental lactogen. It also produces estrogen, progesterone and relaxin. So the placenta functions as an endocrine gland also. It produces HCG. What is HCG? Human chorionic gonadotropin. And HPL. What is HPL? Human placental lactogen. It also produces estrogen, progesterone and relaxin also. All these hormones help in the development and growth of the fetus. See, so this is an important thing, placenta. What is placenta? Placenta is the physical connection between the mother's body and the fetus, or the placenta. How is it develops? How the placenta develops? The placenta is developed by the integration of the chorionic villi of the blastocyst with the endometrial tissue. And what are the functions? It nourishes the fetus. The fetus, the growing fetus, gets all the nutrients, all the vitamins, all the minerals from the mother through the placenta. The placenta gives oxygen supply from the mother's blood to the fetus. Then it helps to remove carbon dioxide and other waste materials produced in the fetus. And the placenta also functions as an endocrine gland. It produces human chorionic gonadotropin and human placental lactogen, and also it produces estrogen, progesterone and relaxin. All these hormones help in the proper growth and development of the fetus. Then, immediately after placenta implantation, what happens? After placentation, after implantation, what happens next? The inner cell mass in the blastocyst multiplies by mitosis, and huge number of cells are produced, and these cells differentiate themselves into 3 definite layers. So after implantation, the inner cell mass of the blastocyst multiplies its cells by mitosis, and later on these cells gets themselves differentiated into 3 fundamental layers. What are these layers? The ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So the inner cell mass develops into ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. And the ectoderm gives rise to brain, skin, spinal cord. The mesoderm develops or gives rise to blood, muscles, kidney, etc. And the endoderm develops into gut, liver, pancreas, etc. So after implantation, the inner cell mass in the blastocyst multiplies in number and gets differentiated into 3 fundamental layers: the ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. The ectoderm gives rise to brain, skin, spinal cord, etc. The mesoderm gives rise to blood, muscles, kidney, etc. And the endoderm gives rise to gut, liver, pancreas, etc. And like that, all the different tissues, all the different organs develop. It is due to the presence of special cells called stem cells. This differentiation into these three different layers and development into the different muscles, tissues, organs, etc. is due to the presence of stem cells. What is a stem cell? Stem cells are special cells which can develop into any type of tissue or any type of organ. So these are the stem cells. So the differentiation is made possible. The development of these different organs are made possible by the presence of stem cells. Stem cells are special cells which can develop into any sort of tissue, any kind of tissue, and any type of organ. Then now we have to see what is happening after this development. After this development, the gestation period is The gestation period is 9 months. That means the fetus needs 9 months to grow fully. So the total period of pregnancy is called a gestation period. It is 9 months. It can be divided into 3 stages. The first 3 months, first trimester. The first trimester. Trimester means a period of 3 months. The first trimester, then second trimester, and third trimester. So one trimester is a period of 3 months. During the first trimester, all the various organs have developed. During the first trimester, all the various organs have developed. During the second trimester, what happens? Limbs and hair, limbs and body hair, and the eyelids separate, etc. At the third trimester, the fetus is fully developed. So during the first trimester, all the major organs, all the various organs have developed during the first trimester. During the second trimester, the limbs are grown. The legs and hands, the limbs are grown. And the body, the hair growth appears on the body. So the limbs and body hair. Then the eyelids separate. The eyelids open or the eyes open. Then by the third trimester, the fetus is fully developed. So this is the gestation period. So what happens? After the 9 months or after the gestation period, that is after the completion of pregnancy, the baby is to be pushed out, and this baby is to be pushed out of the uterus, and it is called the parturition, or commonly we called as delivery. So what is parturition? After the completion of the gestation period, that means after the fetus is completely developed, the fetus moves violently inside the uterus. It makes stretching of the muscles of the uterus, and it causes releasing some impulses. The stretching of the muscles of the uterus causes releasing of some impulses from the uterus and the placenta, and these impulses reach the brain, and the brain releases oxytocin from the pituitary gland. This oxytocin, we know what is the function of oxytocin? Contraction of the smooth muscles of the uterus. So, what is parturition? After completion of the gestation period, that means after the full growth of the fetus or the baby moves violently inside the uterus. It causes stretching of the muscles of the uterus, and the stretching of the muscles of the uterus causes releasing of or generating of impulses from the uterus and placenta, and these impulses reach the brain, and the brain releases oxytocin. Oxytocin. Oxytocin is a hormone from the pituitary gland. So this total thing is called a fetal ejection reflex. We can say fetal ejection reflex. So what is fetal ejection reflex? When the baby is fully grown, it makes violent movement. This causes stretching of the muscles of the uterus, and the stretching of the muscles of the uterus causes releasing or generating of some impulses from the uterus and the placenta, and these impulses when reach the brain, it induces the pituitary to release oxytocin. This total phenomenon or this total action is called a fetal ejection reflex, and as a result of fetal ejection reflex, oxytocin is released, and the oxytocin causes contraction of the smooth muscles of the uterus. The myometrium, we know, the second layer of the uterus, myometrium, is made up of smooth muscles. This oxytocin causes contraction of the smooth muscles of the uterus, and as a result, the baby is pushed out through the birth canal, that is through the cervix and the vagina. The baby is pushed out, and this process is called a parturition. Then lactation. What is lactation? Lactation is the production of milk. During the later periods of pregnancy, the considerable changes takes place in the breast, that is in the mammary glands, and by the time parturition takes place, the mammary glands are ready with the milk. So by the later periods of pregnancy, the mammary glands undergo some changes in their structure and function, and it produces milk. The first milk is called a colostrum. The first milk is called a colostrum. colostrum. The colostrum is rich in nutrients, and it contains all the different kinds of antibodies prepared in the maternal body, in the mother's body. So the colostrum is rich in nutrients. It is rich also in all the different types of antibodies present in the mother, and this gives immunity to the child, or this gives resistance capacity to the baby in the initial stages. Then, so colostrum is the first milk. The first milk means the milk produced for the first few days. The milk produced for the first few days is called colostrum. And invariably, every mother has to feed the baby the colostrum, because it is rich in nutrients and it is rich in antibodies prepared in the mother, so that the baby gets immunity, the baby gets resistance capacity to diseases. So it's a very important thing. Every mother has to take care that the colostrum is invariably given. The first milk is invariably given to the baby. So with this, I hope I have completed this chapter, which you have comfortably understood and can be of benefit to your exams. So dear students, in the next episode we will be dealing with the human or reproductive health. There is another chapter which is very closely related to this human reproduction. It is reproductive health, and we will see the next chapter. Thank you.